Joining us now, one of the face of college football, a man who has always been nice to us and appreciative of us, and the reason why I think I got on College Game Day a couple times to begin with. Ladies and gentlemen, he has a new book that is out now, Out of the Pocket, Football, Fatherhood, and College Game Day Saturdays. Ladies and gentlemen, former Ohio State quarterback, Kirk Herbstreit.
Yeah!
What up, dude?
My man. What's up? How we doing?
I'm great. How are you?
You're not going to give me an OH right out of the gate, huh?
I wanted to sneak it in there just to see how we feel. I don't know if you heard. I went to one of those cult things at AJ's house a couple weeks ago. I was in the middle of all of it, dude.
Dude, how many OHs did you drop?
Hey, I had a couple cocktails, couple vitamins, and there was a mic just floating around. Ooh. I mean, how could you not grab it? It's amazing. It is one of the best things. By the way, one of the biggest traditions in college football, which seems like the tradition might be changing a little bit across the board. And I know you are... you've dedicated your life to college football at this point. Literally, you have dedicated your life. It's what you'll be remembered for forever, your incredible coverage. It feels like college football is about to get some big changes. Do you think the realignment conversations, and I don't know your thoughts on it, I followed along a little bit, I assume I know your standpoint on it, but do you think that's happening because of the potential name, image, likeness changing and people trying to catch up with whoever? And how do you kind of see it all panning out, Kirk?
First of all, real quick, you and I are on the field of the national championship, and you were doing you were doing a pregame deal, and you were live. I didn't realize it, and you were like, we're gonna drop some weight. We're getting serious. and I was like, yep, let's do it. Off season, here we go. Well, one of us took that seriously, evidently. You looking lean and mean.
Oh, okay. Herbie, thank you. It was live, by the way. We were live simulcasting on ESPN2. You and I, thank you.
Yeah, is it diet? Is it lifting? What the hell's going on there?
Herbie, you and I.
Is it Friday night big time wrestling? What's going on?
Okay, all of that could be included, Herbie. You and I, we both come from towns, I think, where people enjoy eating. You and I are both people that, hey, we see the people on Instagram and on TV that are in incredible shape, and we don't fully understand how you don't eat the pizza that is available for you right there. You and I both, we don't understand it. So I think that moment where we got to talk just moments before you had to call, 100 million people watching you, like before those things where I go, hey, you know what, this offseason, Herbie, we're going to get after it. The intermittent fasting is what I do. So I just eat for a certain amount of hours and I fast for the rest. But I want to let you know, Herbie, in those hours, I do get after it on a few days. So I feel like I've found my home.
You still gorging every once in a while? You're still getting after it?
Yeah, I had the my brother's bachelor weekend here this past weekend. I ate a lot of ice cream.
What?
A lot of pizza.
What?
A lot of wings.
What?
Had a couple beers.
What?
Some whiskeys.
What?
Had a lot of stuff this weekend, Herbie. But yeah, I got to get back into the fast. What are you doing? You look incredible as well, sir.
I'm just trying to keep up, man. You get to my age, you're trying to get singles and doubles. We're not trying to hit home runs like you. We're just trying to get on base. On base percentage at this point is key.
Yeah, Ichiro, you know what I mean? Just trying to spray the yard a little bit. Just trying to, I understand.
But to answer your question, oh man, it's like a tsunami right now, man. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. We got name, image, and likeness. We got transfer portal. We got Texas and OU now in the SEC. We got everybody else scrambling to figure out what they're going to do. I could sit here and BS and kind of tell you this is what I think is going to happen, but I think right now, I don't know if the conference commissioners know what's going to happen. It feels like that we're headed to 4 premier, big, huge 16-team conferences, and it feels like those 4 conferences maybe will pull away one day from the NCAA, go out and hire a commissioner, whoever that might be, and just kind of create their own world. That could happen. I don't think like next week, but within the next 3 to 5 years, maybe that could happen. I also don't think this playoff is going to go down. I think this playoff is, they're talking about expanding it to 12 teams. After everything that happened with Texas and OU, I see this full cycle. It was a 12-year cycle that started in 2014. I think it'll go all the way through until they make a change. I just don't, there's too much going on right now for them to be able to say, hey, let's change it in 2025. I just don't see that happening. I think it'll be a full entire 12 years, and then they'll make the changes. And maybe by then we'll have an idea of what's happening to these teams left in the Big 12. Where's the Big 10 going? what's the Pac-12 going to do? The ACC, everybody's going to respond to what the SEC has done by flexing its muscles by bringing in Texas and OU to what they already had, by the way.
Old Dabo with the drip, okay, on the TikTok. Old Dabo with the drip. He said the team doesn't like it. The team has your sons on it. He said they don't want to play more games. And then Dabo said, to be honest, I don't know if there's 12 good teams. I don't know if there's enough good teams to do what everybody's talking about. And I think getting a chance to experience the college football world with you guys and seeing the levels of college football, it feels like everybody is looking to find that SEC level. You said that. Do you think going to 4 will help heighten some environments and traditions elsewhere? Or do you think some schools are just going to end up falling off and it's only going to be the big dogs to begin with, like it kind of is right now already?
It's that way, but like, I don't know about you, but I like the teams that are maybe a notch below that, and I like for them to feel like they're playing meaningful games.
Yeah,
you know, it sucks that we're just going to look after the big blue bloods in college football. We don't want to do that. That's not good for the game. What's also not good for the game is right now the AP poll came out, and we got Bama, and we got Clemson, and Ohio State. It's almost like Bama, Clemson, Ohio State. Of the 4 teams, those 3 are in. Okay, who's the one team that's fighting for a playoff spot? How messed up is that? So we definitely need to, whether they can win it or not, I don't know, but we need the opportunity for more teams to feel like they're involved, more teams to feel like they matter. The way it is right now, it's an unfair race, and we need to expand it to bring in more teams.
And with the playoffs, by the way, beautiful point. I'm thankful that that's how you view it, because you are the voice of college football, because I think that's a common sense take, by the way. I think that is very much a common sense take. And I look back to the team that I was on. If I have a better night, if our team has a better night, we're still in it. We still have a chance. You get one loss and you're one of these teams that isn't, your season's over. You were running hills 5:30 in the morning all summer. You were doing everything. You have a great team. You have one bad night, one bad day. If you're not one of those big schools, you're out of it forever. If you expand that, at least there's at least 2 at-large bids. It feels like that people can get to if it goes to 6. If it goes to 8, at least a little bit. That just feels like that makes a lot of sense. But to your point, there's a bunch going on. To focus on just that seems like that's an impossible task.
Yeah, I think so. And I think teams like right now, we got Iowa State, who's 7th in this poll that just came out. We have Cincinnati and Luke Fickell, who's 8th. How great is that for college football that we have teams like that? The teams that you were on, I mean, and I'm not just teasing you, like Steve Slayton, Pat White, Renaud. I mean, you guys had some freaky athletes on that team. And West Virginia is not a traditional blue blood. But how great is it for a TCU or a West Virginia to get hot and to be thrown in there with an opportunity to try to beat the Ohio States and the Alabamas? We don't get that right now. So I just don't want us to focus just on the money and how much money can we make for these big schools and these big conferences. That's not going to be healthy to me for the sport. We need to care and worry about some of these other, like what's left of the Big 12. Imagine if you're an Iowa State fan right now, or a Kansas State fan, or a Texas Tech fan, or a Baylor fan, or Oklahoma State fan. I mean, they've been outstanding over the last 15 years. And imagine how they feel. Like, where are they going to go? Are they going to be left out? They got to join something, right? Are they going to hold on to the Big 12 and try to pick up a few teams like Houston? Is that going to be good enough to still be looked at as a premier conference? So while we can get excited about Texas and OU going to the SEC, that's fine. It's the rich getting richer. Let's focus on Texas Tech. Let's focus on Oklahoma State and TCU and West Virginia. And these are good programs, and they need to matter, and they need a place to go as far as still feeling like they're playing important football week in and week out.
We're talking to Kirk Herbstreit, the voice of college football, one of the hosts of College Game Day. How long have you been there? 20 years?
20. This will be my 26th year on GameDay.
Hey, you still look good, dude. You're talking about how I get to my age, I'm just trying to hit singles and doubles. I think people think you're still in your 30s. You've figured out a way to just stay the same exact look every single right there. Hey, Saturday morning you're going to wake up. There's going to be a blonde-haired dude on the right side, and he's going to look good and tell you everything you need to know, Herbie. It's been impressive, dude.
Dude, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. At least my wife's a clean eater. You ever be around these people that are clean eaters? So it rubs off on me a little bit here and there, but she does it like she's like Pollock, like that's all she does. So I try to dabble in that the best I can.
Well, if it's around the house, I'll find myself, at least trying it. Now, whether or not I enjoy it and go back is a whole different story. But we appreciate your time here. Let's talk about Out of the Pocket, Football, Fatherhood, and College Game Day Saturdays. Did you write this? Is this your first book? And how long did this take? This had to be a grueling process, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I partnered with Gene Wojciechowski, who Gene. He works on Game. Just a great guy. It's probably about one of the only people that I would have felt comfortable with in writing a book. First book I've ever written. And this is not just a football book. He and I, really he came up with an idea of just talking about my journey, in life. I think it's very different than probably the perception that you just painted of the blonde hair guy over there on the far right. Because dude, I like you and everybody else, you go through some trials and tribulations. And so for me to open up my heart, I'm an introverted guy. I don't really do that even with my family. My family's probably going to read this book and learn some stuff about me that I just don't share a lot. I just hold things in. I don't know if you know people that are that way, but that's just kind of how I've always been. So I've kind of compartmentalized a lot of painful moments that I experienced with my parents' divorce when I was 8 years old and stuff that I dealt with that I just really never talked about. So this was a very different book than just, hey, let's talk about where it's fun to go to game day and all that. It's like I said, it's kind of my journey. I felt like it was important to share that. There are a lot of kids that go through divorce, and some people turn to drugs. Some people they have a lot of hostility and anger. I just had an emptiness. My dad was my hero, really, like for a lot of kids. In my case, living in Ohio, he played at Ohio State. He was a captain there. He coached with Woody. He would take me up when I was younger up to Ohio Stadium and put on Archie Griffin's helmet, in the locker room, introduce me to Woody Hayes. And these people, they were like it's like Superman. Here's Aquaman over here. Here's Batman. I mean, it was like, I can't believe I'm meeting these people. And my dad was the reason. And so my dad was my hero. And then one day I turned 8 and my dad was gone. He and my mom got a divorce. And after that, I moved probably 8 times in 9 years and didn't really do well as a new kid, kind of a really, really shy kid, and didn't handle all that well. And thankfully, I didn't turn to drugs, man. I turned to sports. That was kind of my outlet, was watching sports, playing sports, just always being with my buddies. My buddies and sports were my outlet that kind of got me through. I got my mom remarried. I had stepdad, stepsister, stepbrother. My dad remarried, stepmom, stepbrother. They got divorced, got remarried again. So,
yeah. And
all along, I don't know if you know any of that. I just never told anybody how I ever felt. So in this book, I kind of tell people how I felt. So that has a lot to do with the book.
Was it therapeutic in there, I bet, a little bit?
Yeah. And again, because of Gene, I think it allowed me to open up and to talk about stuff that I probably wouldn't have done without him. And then, we got into my playing days, and I was very self-deprecating about my story at Ohio State. I went in there as a 5-star, can't miss, going to walk in there and start for 4 years kind of guy. And I ran the wishbone, dude. I was a dude had some size, but I could run. And at Ohio State, they fired Earl Bruce my senior year in high school and waited about a month, and then they named John Cooper. I never really heard of John Cooper, but I didn't care. I was going to Ohio State regardless. And I didn't realize he ran a West Coast offense, and here I am running a wishbone. But that just shows you how blinded I was toward Ohio State. Yeah, so I didn't fit, man. I talk about it in the book. I was moved to safety and covering kickoffs and all kinds of shit, man. It was nuts. But that story, and talk about a couple of coaches that were pain in the asses, and I never really told them about it. And they'll read this book and they'll know that I couldn't stand them.
Hey, I love that, Kirk. And I think I appreciate you not only doing that for the community so we can read the book and learn from it, and future kids can say, hey, okay, even the incredibly handsome, blonde, old-ass man over there on the far right side has been through it, and I can make it. That's a big deal, finding motivation and inspiration, so I appreciate you doing that. I think the reason why you don't want to probably tell anybody, including your family, is you never want to be a burden for somebody, right? Like, you never want to be a burden, so you just kind of do your thing, and you're living well, so it's like, why would I ever talk about my shit? I'm thankful that you did, and plenty of other people will be. I can't wait to read it. The boys have a couple questions for you. Is that all right?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Go ahead, Ty.
Kirk, you mentioned the name, image, likeness earlier. Do you think that the NCAA is going to put any kind of guardrails on that, or is it going to continue to just be the wild, wild west, and these kids are going to be able to make as much money as they possibly can?
I think they're going to make as much money as they can. I think the guardrails are going to have to come from Congress, where they're waiting to try to put a universal rule out there. Right now, the state of Indiana versus state of Florida versus state of Ohio versus California, everybody has their own rule when it comes to name, image, and likeness. So what Ohio State's doing versus what Notre Dame's doing is different versus what Texas might be doing. And everybody's living by their own rules within their own state. And then who's policing this?
Yeah.
The thing that's crazy is this was not name, image, likeness. This is what it was not for. You're a 5-star. You can go to any school in the country. One weekend you go to LSU, and then name, image, and likeness. Well, hey, here at LSU, we can guarantee you this. And then you go to A&M the next week. LSU said that. Well, we'll give you this. Then you go to Ohio State the next week, and they say, well, we can do this. That's not what name, image, and likeness is about. And I'm not saying those schools are doing that, but in talking to coaches, that's happening.
Yeah. We assume so much.
Yeah, that is happening. And so that's not what this is for, is to promise what could be. It's to take an established player who's already on the roster and he's got an opportunity to make some money. Then that I don't think they're ever going to put a cap on. That's just that's a free market, and that's the new world that we live in. But it'd be great if everybody were playing by the same rules. That part, I think, they're going to have to figure that out, and they're going to have to figure out a way to police it. And that's why the NCAA, they're taking a step backwards, and that's why I think eventually we're going to get to a world where these bigger conferences are going to break off and kind of form their own world where they would have a governing body to help police things like this.
Who can regulate the bonuses and what you can do. This is like the draft back whenever, Mr. Jaw, who is currently at a golf outing with Brady Quinn back in Columbus, Ohio, to save some lives. But when he got drafted 5 overall, that was back when they were making more money than 10-year vets that had been around. Matthew Stafford signed for $60 million.
Yep.
He hadn't even played a single down, and then all of a sudden, new CBA had come in. It was like, okay, all right, we gotta regulate this. All the recruits are getting all the money from this thing to get into school, and then you got a lot of guys who are probably like, this is bullshit. You know who I think is going to crack down on this, Herbie? If you want to be the IRS.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah, the IRS is going to be the ones that handle this whole thing.
A parent, or you have somebody, these schools, it's up to these schools to kind of create an arm within their athletic department that helps these guys understand that. I didn't know anything about taxes or IRS. I didn't come from money. There was no reason for me to understand that. But eventually you start to make a little bit of money. You're like, okay, we're paying a lot of money to this guy over here. But when you're a college kid and all of a sudden you sign something for $10,000 or $100,000 or whatever it is, you better have somebody teaching you about economics, because otherwise that's going to be, you're right, it's going to recalibrate. There's going to be 2 or 3 or 4 stories that surface that everybody's going to panic about. And this thing will recalibrate, and we'll be in a different space in another couple years.
I think so, too. I think that's just classic business. It always happens. Something gets rolled out. Abuse leads to restriction. Then they kind of figure it out. That's kind of everything. Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, Kirk, with this whole NIL thing, do the rich just get richer? Like, how are West Virginia and Texas Tech and those kind of smaller schools going to keep up with Bama and Ohio State?
Hold on. Now, I have a question for this as well. Thank you for bringing that up, Connor, because, University of Houston, Dana Holgerson, I got a chance to chat with him, and he's like, hey, we got some pretty cool people around this city that like the Houston football team who just maybe oil money. Yeah. There might be some other things that are happening there. Do you expect not only how do people keep up, but do you expect some schools that maybe come from maybe down Georgia Tech, for instance, they got Coke and Waffle House and everybody in there. Do you think that's going to become a bigger part of this whole story? Sorry, Connor, but that led to that. Do you think that's going to become something?
Yeah, I think it could. I think, first of all, anytime something new like this happens, we all throw our arms up and we freak out about, oh my God, this is going to be crazy. I don't know how many players on these rosters are actually going to be cashing in on name, image, and likeness. I thought what BYU did the other day really cool with a Built Bar, where they covered every kid that's a walk-on. They're like, we're going to put everybody on scholarship. We got all you guys covered. I thought that was kind of unique. But it's going to be the quarterback, right? It's going to be the running back. Maybe it's the field goal kicker if he's like an established guy, or it's a safety, or it's a linebacker. But it's not going to be the whole roster. So if you're Virginia, your quarterback's probably the alumni there and the boosters there and the businesses that are in that community. I think it may work the opposite. I think it can maybe help a West Virginia or a Houston. Instead of getting stacked up at LSU or A&M or some of these other places, why not go be a De'Aaron King or go be a superstar at one of these other schools where maybe it's not the same competition for name, image, and likeness like it is at Alabama or Ohio State or Clemson or the powerhouses that you suggested. So you can kind of spin it until we see this, until we have evidence of something. We're all kind of spinning it one way or another, and we have to just wait to see how it comes out. But after this rule broke, in July? It's been around now for about a month and a half. I mean, other than the Bryce Young story and the kid Quinn Evers, who left high school a year early because wouldn't let him cash in on name, image, and likeness, other than like a handful of individual stories, I don't know about you guys. I'm not hearing all this craziness yet with name, image, and likeness that all these players are cashing in the way I think a lot of people expected them to do. So again, month and a half in, let's just kind of see how it goes over the next course of the next few months.
We're talking to the voice of college football, Kirk Herbstreit, who has a book out right now called Out of the Pocket: Football, Fatherhood, and College Game Day Saturdays. Oh, wow. Oh, we just put the book cover up on the screen. You're talking handsome, huh?
Damn.
Oh, my God, look at this guy. Jeez Louise. Go ahead, Diggs.
Kirk, you talked about the AP poll being released today and how awesome it was that Iowa State's at 7, Cincy's at 8. But with Cincy, even if they go undefeated, do you think that the College Football Playoff Committee will put them in against a one-loss Georgia if they have a loss in the SEC title game or something like that? I'm not just saying that because I have a Desmond Ridder 30-1 Heisman Trophy ticket, but I'm just wondering, do you think that's going to happen?
Kid's a player.
I love it. Here's my take on the small guy getting a chance to play. Like UCF was bouncing up and down a few years ago that they deserved a chance. What I've learned going back to the BCS years is when Kellen Moore and Boise State were out there and nobody really Boise State. Oh, that's the blue turf team. Yeah, the blue turf team. They took a lot of years of winning until people started to realize that they were legit. And I think it took the game against Oklahoma on a big stage in the Fiesta Bowl when they ended up, having a few plays at the end of the game, Statue of Liberty to win it on a 2-point play, and all of a sudden they became a cool brand. And what they did on the back end of that is they played teams like Virginia Tech when Virginia Tech was a top 10 team, and they beat their ass at FedEx Field. They went all the way across the country and beat a good Virginia Tech team. They also beat Georgia in the Georgia Dome. So all of a sudden, Boise State started to become a brand that people became more familiar with because they'd been around for a long time and they chopped a lot of wood. And all of a sudden, they're controlling their own destiny with 2 weeks to go to get into a BCS when there's only 2 to get into the championship, and they get upset on a Friday night by Colin Kaepernick in Nevada, or they're in. So I think with Cincinnati, and I think what the work that UCF did has helped the Cincinnati cause, and then Cincinnati playing well last year and then getting on a big stage themselves. And even though they didn't beat Georgia, they kind of controlled that game if you watched it. And that's the reason if you open up the AP top 10, there's Cincinnati. So they're starting at 8. I don't think there's going to be this ceiling on Cincinnati. And it has everything to do with they can tip their cap to another American team, and it's the American Athletic Conference is UCF. So collectively as a league, they're showing that they can play with the big boys. And it was Cincinnati starting at 8, not 18, 8. If they win games, and by the way, they're playing Notre Dame and they're playing Indiana in the non-conference. You need opportunities against teams that the media respects. I'm telling you, if Cincinnati and Luke Fickell get on a run early, they win those games against Indiana and Notre Dame, I don't think Cincinnati's going to be left out of getting into the playoffs.
I wonder if when Notre Dame decided to schedule this, they expected Luke Fickell and Desmond Ritter. You know, that was always our issue at West Virginia. Is like we actually had to pick up like Eastern Washington one year because one of the teams dropped out of the deal we're supposed to have because we became a good team. Because if somebody lost early, Notre Dame to a Cincinnati, they're basically out for the rest of the year. Now Notre Dame might power through that because they got Drew Brees on the call all year or whatever on NBC. But that's something. You think Desmond Ritter and Fickell can do the, the classic Boise State? I mean, what a night. Didn't that dude, who was it?
Jared Zabransky.
No, who was the running back? Ian
Johnson?
Ian Johnson?
Yeah.
What,
He dropped to a knee and asked the chick to marry him.
I think they did get married, but congrats to them. That was a great Statue of Liberty play.
Dude, Cincinnati's real deal. They're almost their entire team is back. And Ritter, you got 30-1 on him, huh? That's pretty darn good. Because the Heisman, as you guys know, the Heisman Trophy is who's the MVP on one of the top teams in the country. I mean, that's every year. That's what it is. And if Cincinnati beats, and you're polling for Cincinnati to beat Indiana, which is tough, and beat Notre Dame. And if they run through the American and they're sitting there at 8-0 and 9-0, get that ticket. Don't lose that ticket because you have a chance there.
Hey, Herbie, look at you, by the way. This is gambling talk from now. You've been hanging out with Bear, you and Fallica, having these full conversation on where good money is, Herbie? You opening into that world?
Yeah, man. I'll dabble into that world. I'm following you and Bear's lead when you guys used to argue. Remember the good old days when we had you on College Game Day?
Yeah, I remember those.
Segment on that right now. Let's do it. Let's do a 3-minute segment on you and College Game Day.
I mean, we could get into it, Herbie. I don't know if you want to, though. You know what I mean?
Come on, man.
Herbie, I loved my time with you guys. You know, I absolutely enjoyed it. I'm very thankful that you allowed me into that world. Everybody was very nice to me, that worked. I kind of feel like Aaron Rodgers at the Packers, though. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I enjoyed the staff. I enjoyed my teammates. You know what I mean? There's some other people maybe. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
We can work that out. Let's like Aaron Rodgers work things out. We can work that out.
Hey, I'm going to write a book one day, much like you, and there's going to be some coaches that are going to find out that I didn't fucking like it. You know what I mean, Herbie? There's going to be some of that. I was very lucky. Here's something I'll tell you with College Game Day. So that's a show that doing it, it's like you're in the TV because everybody it's an institution. Like doing it is amazing. And having a conversation, because our show Monday through Friday, money maker. So traveling on Saturday, especially with Sunday NFL thing, like that is eating into my life where I could be potentially napping, but it's a dream to do College Game Day, right? So whenever we start doing it and we start seeing the effect, like, hey, I'm loving this. This is a good time. Now, granted, my time is getting key. As every week that went on, by the way, from the first day to the last day, those things were going down. Got a text. Barry O, President Obama, sent a text through a couple people who was like, hey, President Obama enjoyed your work on College Game Day. And I told the boys, like, hey, Obama's never going to watch our daily show. Okay, so there are people like Obama out there that get a chance to see me on Game Day. So I'm very thankful that you guys gave me an opportunity over there. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Let me tell you this. You are beloved by our crew. We love having you and your boys come around the game day, the game day meetings and just around in general. And if it can ever be worked out, if ever I can help in any way to kind of help bridge that gap, let me know. Because we would love to have you back as a main day on that show if you ever want to consider that.
Herbie, I love you. We'll talk to you later. Ladies and gentlemen, get his book, The Voice of College Football, Kirk Herbstreit. See you, man. He's the best.
See you, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The absolute best.
He really is.
I've never read a book. I won't read that one, but I hope everybody else does.
It's going to be a good one.
We're going to buy it. We're going to support the cause. We will absolutely for everything he's done. But I love Herbie, man. That is very much an Aaron Rodgers situation. Though.
Yeah.
Perfect comparison.
Love the fans. Love my teammates.
Hey,
Love the staff.
Love day to day. Says who's really be able to put that on their resume to say, you know what, I did that. Yeah, that's what I want to. And I do. I am petty. People know. Hey, I can be petty.
You know what you're getting.
I can be petty. I mean, Those last couple shows I was on, we were sitting in here for 3.5, 4 hours, and I come in for 10 seconds, and it was like, the show is worse with you cutting to me out of nowhere. And by the way, the people that don't know me, dropping me in for 10 seconds to do my song and dance, they are gonna hate me so much. Like, this is not the right way. I was very thankful for all the opportunities to do that show, but towards the end, I'm like, we're both getting worse here. The show's worse because of me popping in here, and people that hate me are getting real loud because of these little 10-second drop-ins. But Herbie has always been a big time, like, hey, we need you out here.
Yeah, he's the man.
It's the fucking best, dude. Some people hate him. It just like the, no, I'm not getting into it because it's a lot different than that. It's a lot different than the, than that, because I think everybody knows, like, Herbstreit was a guy whenever he played football, like a tough, he's an Ohio dude, you know, like I have a lot of appreciation and respect for him. I mean, he just opened a full can of worms though with that last thing. I'm gonna have to have 10 conversations after this.
Yeah, probably.
Probably during a break.
Yep.
Hey, if you want to text him though, for me, and to have him push the Desmond Ridder Heisman narrative.
I heard
on
you
that
trying
show.
to get in there. Yeah, I just wanted to, because him talking gambling more is good for everybody.
Yeah.
He's good at it already.
Well, and he fucking knows everybody and everything. So for a lot of times, I've been pushing Herbie like, hey, I know me and Bear are doing this song and
get a
dance.
couple
but
picks out
we need
there.
you.
Yeah.
You know more than all of us. You know.